Hello and welcome to One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer. I am representing the South Side because we have a special guest. Alec Seymour is going to be on, and he's a White Sox fan, so I thought I would represent a little bit. Still got a little Cubby hat on, though. But anyway, let's get the housekeeping done. Make sure that you like us on Facebook. Um, those of you who are watching on the YouTube channel, please make sure that you subscribe so you will have our content as soon as it drops. I like that word drops.
Yeah.
Um, you can contact us through one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com. You can support our efforts through Patreon. Just go to patreon.com and search for One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer. And all of your efforts to support us is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to be a guest, like our guest is, will be in a few minutes. Let us know. Drop us an email, send us a text, DM us, send smoke signals. Hey, I'd like to be on the show. As long as you know a little bit about baseball, that's more than what we know, and that's all that matters. So, JJ, how are you doing?
Oh, Vince, I'm always doing good, Vince. I always answer it that way, but it's getting to be late fall now, and Faith made me beans, cornbread, and fried potatoes tonight. Now that's a fall meal right there. What's your go-to fall meal? You got something you like in the fall to eat when it's getting a little cooler outside?
I love chili. I
Oh, you can always
chili,
go with
yeah,
chili.
that I
Yeah.
mean that's an obvious answer, but I love chili. We have different ways of making it. I have my way of making it. Kathy has her way of making it. So it's like two different chilies that we make.
Styles.
Both of them are really good. So yeah, I just love chili. I like a good soup, chicken and dumplings,
Oh
uh,
yeah, you can always go chicken and dumplings.
steak
For
and lobster.
y'all, those that don't know, Vince is an incredible cook. When he shows pictures of his meals or what he makes, you're like, man, that looks good. You see a picture of what I make, it's a prison riot. Like that. Nobody wants to eat what I make. Grilled cheese tomato soup. That's about the limit of what I do.
I am not trying to disparage my mother, but she will admit, and she said all the time she was a lousy cook, and that was accurate.
Okay.
So and it's really not her fault. My mom was a single parent who worked the graveyard shift.
Bless her heart.
So she was tired all the time. And then, JJ, you understand this, when your days off are, that kind of screws up your sleep.
Oh yeah.
You're used to sleeping during the day. So her goal in cooking was to get it done as quick as possible. So, like, you cook meats on low heat. No, not mom. Turn it all the way up, throw a burger on the pan. It always had charred sides to it and everything like that. But I realized, even though I wasn't around my dad a whole lot, my dad could cook. And I realized, like, at the age of 10, I think I can, like, figure some things out in the kitchen. So I would started cooking at a young age, basically as a little bit of self-preservation because my mom was such a lousy cook that I felt like if I learned how to cook, I could have some better meals. But I will say this about my mom. She could bake pies like it was nobody's business.
Well, hey, that's a talent right there. I'm telling you. We all have different knacks. You got cooking knack. I'm actually okay, but my wife's much better cook than I am. And as you can see, I'm not starving or missing any meals. I'll be just fine.
Oh, Kathy has a cousin. We need to get him on the show. He lives in Colorado, but he's a huge Cardinal fan.
Oh yeah,
Um,
come on.
and he barbecues for a living. And man, when I see the stuff that he puts online, I'm thinking, oh gosh, you got to come visit and barbecue for us. I mean,
Tom Brown. Tom Brown's a good cooker too.
oh
He's
yeah,
always putting his
yeah.
stuff on there.
Every weekend I have to see what Tom Brown's having for breakfast.
I'm jealous. Yeah, he's always putting it together. Really nice stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
and people are saying, "Who's Tom Brown?" So he's a friend of ours.
everybody knows Tom Brown.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. So,
Good people.
oh, well, anyway, JJ, it's that depressing time
I know.
when not a whole lot is happening. But it has been a heck of a day to save things because we have announced the MVP finalists, the Cy Young finalists, the Rookie of the Year finalists, and the Manager of the Year finalists. And I can say um, I really cannot argue against any of these.
Me neither.
And I think both of our teams have a good gripe, but when I looked at it a little closer, and I'm talking about the Rookie of the Year, yeah, the three guys that are finalists are a little bit better than our guys.
I
So
agree.
let's start with the rookie finalists. In the National League, the finalists are Jackson Churio of the Milwaukee Brewers, who, after a slow start, really came on and had a great rookie season. Jackson Merrill of the Diamondbacks,
Padres.
Diamondbacks, Padres, yeah. That team out west, the Priests, not the Snakes, had a fantastic year, and of course, Paul Skeens had a
Oh,
great year. And I saw fans immediately, Cub fans complaining, "Hey, why isn't Imanaga on there?" And then on Facebook, I also saw Cardinal fans already complaining, "Why isn't Mason Wynn on this list?" This is a
close.
great year
It
for rookie.
is.
Uh, what do you what are your thoughts that Mason Wynn isn't one of the finalists?
I'm okay with that. Mason Wynn had a good year. I think by the end of the year, he was hitting like 265, played great defense, played practically every day. I think his stolen bases were down from where I thought, but what a year. And I personally, if you told me at the beginning of the year, this is the year he's going to have and play that kind of defense, I would have been tickled to death. But when I see this list, like you said, Vince, I can't argue. These guys had better years. They were just a little bit better. I think if they had five nominees, I think Cardinal and Cub fans would be happy because we both have a guy on there. But in the top three, I got to go that. Jackson Cheerios, I give Milwaukee all the credit in the world. You know, they have to do things different. And they took this young player they believed in and got him for more years. And I believe he's only 20 years old. Heck of a year, a little weak defensively. I think that's his one weakness is defense. And Jackson Merrill of the Padres, I tell you what, I think to me that's the rookie of the year. Classy kid, plays hard, plays with that joyful enthusiasm. I think he was one of the big reasons they were better this year. And basically the second best team in baseball, I believe, only to the Dodgers. And Paul Skeens, he just didn't play the whole year, but he's a phenom. This kid is like Tom Seaver, but just didn't come up at the beginning of the year. And I think it's going to hurt him in the voting where Jackson Miro was there pretty much the whole darn year playing it practically every day. But like you said, Vince, we're in the golden era of baseball. There's a bunch of young, great players in both the American and National League.
Exactly. And I Imanaga had a great year.
He did.
The two reasons I don't put him on this list is he was not the dominant force that Paul Skeens was. And the only other person I would say that Cheerio is going to be the number three finisher on this list. And I could see Imanaga or Wynn taking his place. But um, Imanaga, I almost wouldn't mind even if they had five and he wasn't on it. I just it's hard for me to think of Japanese players who've been playing at a highly competitive level for so many years to be rookies of the year. If it's a year when there it's a weak rookie class, okay, but this is such a good class. I want someone in there that I feel like is hasn't played at the level of the Japanese league, which is always explained like in between AAA and the major leagues. So I do think Jackson Merrill, because he is a five-tool player, a complete player, I do think he is going to win it. Paul Skeens is going to be hampered because I think he only had 18 starts, maybe
And he
15.
only lost 3 games, I know, and
Yeah,
strikeouts to walks was incredible.
yeah. But Skeens the more dominant, but I think the guy who was there from beginning to end, helping his team on a consistent basis, is Jackson Merrill. So, you think Jackson Merrill is going to win, or am I just completely off my rocker?
No, that's who I believe. And there was a play where Siani stole a double from him, made one of those Siani plays in the alley, and Jackson Merrill stopped at second, put his head down, and he tipped his cap. And when Siani came running in, he gave him a hug, and I was like, man, it's good to see. Vince, I get touched by sportsmanship and just like, hey, I got to tip my cap. That was a great play.
You
So
know,
I'm always over Jackson Merrill after that.
I'm serious. If I was a major league player and I did that, and Siani had a catch, I think I would wait for him to come in at second base, and then I'd kick him square in the net.
Well, that's where we differ. That's where we differ. I would say, "Oh, you sucker! Great play, man. That's a good one." Or I don't know. That's just how I like to play. I don't like rubbing it in. Or so, we all make errors. We all succeed. There's no reason to rub somebody's face in it when they're down.
I don't
Because they'll
represent.
remember that.
I
They'll
just
come back and get you.
swell his nards up. So in the American League, the Orioles Colton Cowser, and the Yankees have a couple, Luis Gill and Austin Wells is the finalist for Rookie of the Year. And I don't see this as much of a race. I think Colton Cowser was head and shoulders the best in the American League.
I do too. I do too. They're both on good teams. They've got men on base when they come up. Lewis Gill did have a good year pitching, but Austin Wells had a series where I think they beat us 2 out of 3, and he was the guy who got the big hits in both games. But this Colton kid from the Orioles, 303 batting average, 24 home runs. What a year for a rookie, and helped them have such a good year. And maybe the Yankees, I always hear if you got two guys on one team that kind of cross each other out a little bit, perhaps. I don't know, but I'm going with you, Vince. Exactly. I think this is slam dunk on this.
Yeah, and I think it's not a surprise that an Oriole is going to win the Rookie of the Year again. I just think we all thought it was going to be Jackson Holiday.
Oh, that's
We
true.
thought it
That's
was going to
true.
be Holiday, and
He's got bright days ahead of him
oh
still.
yeah,
He'll
yeah,
be all right.
yeah.
Yeah. If you
Uh,
ever look down on the rookies of the year, some of them, that's the best year they ever had. And they sort of stuck around a while. And then some guys, of course, become Mike Trout and Griffey and those guys and Pujols. You just never know.
yeah, it's a crapshoot. I remember one year, uh, uh, John Castino
Yeah, the Twins.
for the Twins won, and that was like it. It wasn't injury or anything. That was just
Yeah.
that was the best he did. And um, was it Butch Metzger won it once. I mean,
Rich Metzger. Nice career, but
yeah,
nothing
nice career,
special.
but that was the best that happened with him. So yeah, sometimes it's just weird how it works out that way. Chris Coughlin won Rookie of the Year one year, and then for the rest of his career was basically a bench player. I
Pat
like
Listash. Pat Listash. Remember that name?
pencil thin Listash, yes.
Yeah.
Uh, so the National League finalists for Manager of the Year, we have Carlos Mendoza of the Mets, Pat Murphy of the Brewers, and Mike Schilt, hey, of the Padres. Who do you like in this horse race?
Well, I'm a big Schilt guy. 11 more wins this year, and they lost. Look at all the players they lost, Vince. They lost Soto, Snell, Walker, Lugo, and Nick Martinez, and they won 11 more games. Um, but Murphy from the Brewers, and you don't get to count the postseason, by the way. If you're looking at these awards, they vote on them before the postseason started, so it's the regular season. Pat Murphy, I have to say, who saw that coming? They lose their Craig Counsell, who deservedly so praised for great manager manager, and he leaves, and then all of a sudden it's Pat Murphy. Well, I hope he does a good job. Well, as a baseball fan, as a Cardinal fan, I hope he's just okay. But what a year! And plus, the team was defensive team of the year. They got the defensive gold glove, and I'm sure that's a lot of coaching and staying on top. And of course, the players' pride and working hard. But I see it's a two-team race, but I'm going to go Mike Schill. I just think he held a team together, and they seemed like they were so talented, but just was lost. And he gave them direction and did a heck of a job leading them to almost the World Series this year. So I'd have to go Schill.
Yeah, I think I'd go Murphy because
Okay.
the Brewers really wasn't expecting to do anything after Burns left and then
All the injuries.
left. Yeah. So I think Murphy, yeah, either one can win. I think he's got the leg up um, just because the Padres had more talent going into the year. Mendoza, I don't think he's got a shot. They did have a lot of injuries, but there's a lot of talent on that team. So
Yeah, there is a lot of talent on that team.
yeah, and they started so horribly. Yeah, I like them when the team starts horribly and then they get on a roll and squeak into the plaza. That guy's got to be
Oh,
manager of the year.
yeah.
Well, maybe not. Um, in the American League, AJ Hitch from the Tigers, Matt Quatraro from the Royals, and Stephen Vaught of the Guardians. I like that all three of these are from the Central in the American
Nice.
League, and I think I think all three could make a pretty good case.
Oh yeah.
Um, I'm going to go with my Royal Quattaro because that they did kind of come out of nowhere. Detroit was looked at as a young team with a lot of talent, and that they were going to be in the mix somehow, some way, even though they were devastated with injuries and underperformance, and then got hot at the end and got to the playoffs. I just don't think Hitch should be manager of the year. Uh, but Voigt, I think it, if the Royals didn't happen, I think he would be the manager of the year. Your thoughts?
I would go Voight, and the only reason I'm saying that because I think all three deserve it. They have a three-way tie. I'd be happy with that. But Voight coming in, being his first year, I think they were more consistent. The Royals had some ups and downs during the regular year. The Detroit came on like gangbusters at the end, but Cleveland was in there fighting some of the best teams in baseball for the best record. And when you look at that team, good solid players, but except for Ramirez, they don't really have a superstar player. And their pitching staff's been pretty devastated with injuries as well, and of course their bullpen's fantastic, and I think Voigt really did a good job. I don't know, they seemed like they really reacted to him, and I think consistently they were just better for the whole year, and that's the only reason I would say Voigt. But you could talk me into any three of them. They all did a heck of a job this year.
Yeah, I mean, they've done better in their managerial careers than I did.
Yeah, me too.
For Cy Young, the National League finalists are Chris Sale, Paul Skeens, and Zach Wheeler. Um, I don't see how Sale loses this.
Yes, he's got the triple crown.
Yeah,
And Wheeler, I have to say, a lot of innings, and what you can't. He heck of a year. Skeen just didn't play all year. If he had went all, you know, coast to coast the whole year, I think Bing Bong or somebody sneaking around the
maybe
corner. There they are.
appearance. Ding bong.
Yeah, Bing Bong's got a fan club. But just to make my point quick, I'm with you, Stale, all the way. He just resurrected his career. Any of us could. You Cubs could have had him. Cardinals could have had him. But the Braves seen something they liked, and he responded and had a heck of a year.
Yeah, I think this is a no brainer. And Skeens, great dominating year. Bing bong, no one wants to see your anus, okay? Um,
We got a few people that might.
Weirdos, I don't know. But you want to get in my lap, buddy? Get in my lap. There you go. Time to be babied. Yeah. Uh,
Oh,
Wheeler had a great year. Kind of went
yeah.
under the radar, but Sale was just the most dominant pitcher from uh, the first inning of the season to the last inning of the season. Skeens may have been made a race of it if he would have pitched all season, but he didn't. So it's got to go to Sale.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I think in the American League we had the same situation. Emmanuel Clase, the closer for the Guardians, Seth Lugo, at the age of 34, hit a stride with the Royals, and Tarek Skubal of the Tigers, who won the triple clown, triple crown in the American League. So I think it's going to be Skubal.
I do too. I do too. That guy every year gets better and better. And it's good for these organizations, to have these, at least these accolades, even though they don't get the World Series or didn't get very far, they've got this. And good for him. This kid looks like he's going to be good for a long time.
And I do have to give Max credit. He picked Tarek Skubal for the Cy Young in the American League, and it looks like he's
Vance
going
is he's the professor. I tell you what, Max is professor. He's good at dissecting this stuff.
to. Yeah, I don't know. Uh, I don't think he's so smart.
You don't want to go too big ahead.
No, no, no. So MVP finalists, the National League, Otani, Kento Marte of the Snakes, and Francisco Lindor. And this is going to be unanimous.
Yeah.
Marte is going to win it unanimous.
I didn't know he'd be the third guy. That I will say that. I didn't know Marte would be the third guy. I guess I didn't pay close enough attention, but I
Yeah,
knew it'd be Lindor and Otani going, for
when
it.
when he was announced, I did a double and I looked at his stats and said, "No, heck of
He
a
did good.
year."
Yeah.
So yeah, Otani's going to
Yeah.
win it.
What a year.
Yeah, and could you imagine you're playing with Mike Trout all these years, and then you go to the Dodgers and you immediately win a World Series? Mike Trout has got to be like,
Oh,
yeah,
I know. That's one of my questions after we get through this. What about Trout this year? You hear so many rumors. You think he'll stick with the Angels? Will they move him? Will he still be a center fielder? Seems like he gets hurt a lot now. He's such a big guy and he's getting older. Will they move him to the corners? Will he DH? Will he first base? I mean, what are you going to do with him and where will he end up? I think that's going to be fascinating this year to see what happens to him because the Angels are making a lot of moves, Vince, and he seems to want to stay there. So, but I don't know where he's going to be or what he's going to do.
if I was him, I would ask for a trade, and I'll tell you why. When the Angels have like jumped the market, Jorge Soler, um, probably on the downside of his career. Kyle Hendricks, ERA of almost 6. I love Kyle, but
He beats the crap out of us. I'm kind of glad he's not on the Cubs, but I'm glad he's over there in Angel Land now.
yeah, he just looked terrible. Um, Travis d'Arnaud, who they signed yesterday or this morning,
Yes, this
I
morning.
like that move. In fact, I thought the Cubs should be on him. They got him for 2 years, 12 million, which isn't a whole
Pretty.
lot of money. Um, and then they picked up someone else,
That's the three I knew. I knew.
and they picked up an infielder, I believe, not a star or anything. But if I'm Trout, I'm thinking we're not going for a youth movement. We're certainly not adding all stars. What are we doing here? That's why I would ask for a trade because I don't get the vision. You would think that they would say, okay, we're gonna Otani's gone, gonna go with the youth movement. At least then you see some vision. But when you're just getting these guys who are on the downside of their career,
I
uh,
know.
It's got to be a
I know.
little.
I feel bad for him. And before he got hurt, Vince, he was having a great year too.
Yeah, he
Again.
was. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think he's got a DH from now on. You know,
Yeah.
you, you got to take away as much of a possibility for injury as you can to keep his bat in the lineup. He needs to play 130, 140 games. I don't think he's, a person who you can rely for 150 games anymore. Even if he's healthy the entire year, you got to give him some time off because his body is just breaking down. So,
Right.
in the American League for MVP, we have Judge, Soto, and Witt. Wow.
I know. All three deserving.
Yeah, this is one of those years. It's a shame. Uh, you Judge is going to get it,
I agree.
but Soto had a heck of a year. Witt had a heck of a year.
Oh yeah.
Witt is the superior of the three when it comes to his glove work. Um, we did once have co-MVPs. Maybe we can have three MVPs
Oh
tied.
yeah. Or two. Witt and Judge. That'd be great.
So, so
They
that
bring
is,
different things. There's different aspects too of what they do. The base running of Witt, and he can hit home runs, but Judge is just, I don't know. I think he's something special, to be honest with you. A guy that size playing center field, and until the World Series, and he hadn't made any errors. Really good arm, and just, I don't know. When he gets on one of those hot streaks, you just can't stop him. But you know, he got that right field fence. That kind of holds me back a little bit there too. But which name's going to be in that MVP race for many years to come if he stays
I
healthy?
agree. Now, I kind of off subject now, but I think we're kind of done with this subject. You brought up Judge in the series. Judge is starting to get a track record of someone who doesn't play well in the postseason. And that happens. Kershaw does not have a good postseason record. Um,
That is true.
A-Rod had some terrible postseasons. Um, so there are players that just don't seem to be built for the postseason. And it is difficult for the cream to rise to the top in the postseason because it's a different animal. You're facing a lot of pitchers, and it's hard for the offense to get going. Um, but that's not going to do anything about his MVP possibilities. But yeah, he's starting to get a reputation. I think he goes in there and he's pressing now, and it's biting him. So
Well, they're trying to, if they can, they try to pitch around him intentionally, and they get him to chase, it seems like. And sometimes you just got to like pass the torch to the next guy, and maybe you catch a mistake in there, or you come up when the game is on the line and they have to pitch to you. It seems like it just didn't come through, in those big situations. And Soto, he hits anytime. That dude is something special. And but I wonder where he's going to end up. There's talk of, yeah, I've heard of 6, 7 teams, with the Cubs being one of them.
no,
Vince,
the
the
Cubs
Cubs are one of them.
Cubs management came out and said we're not entering this race, which I think was a stupid thing to do.
Oh man, that hurts. Because I think if you had him, all of a sudden, look out, man. You're up there with the Padres or something.
Yeah, I'll get into that a little bit in Cub news. Uh, Final thing about uh, general news: platinum gloves were announced. Cal Raleigh, catcher for the Mariners, won it for the American League. National League Bryce Terang for the Brewers, second base, won it, and Toronto and Milwaukee both won the team platinum gloves.
For the
Um,
second year in a row, both teams, 2 years in a row now.
yeah, and Cal Raleigh, I've just not seen much of him.
Me neither.
Um, Bryce Terang, I've seen enough of him.
Yeah, that dude's great. And base stealer too.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, good player.
So hold on, Bing Bong. Uh he's kind of a chubby kitty. and he's hard to hold sometimes because he kind of spreads out.
Yeah, he's sprawled out there.
Yeah, then I spoil him. So anyway, do you got anything else with the for general chat or
No. I was going to talk about, we talked about Trout. I'm going to keep it positive. There was a player going through a lot of stuff right now, and I just didn't want to get into him. But there's basically that's it, Vince, on the general news.
okay? Before we move to Cardinal news, I we have to know what's Jose Canseco like.
Jose Canseco, they had it was raining Saturday. He was down in Caledonia at the a boys' dream hobby shop. Fantastic, packed. It was raining, so they weren't outside. So everybody's inside. And you had to get, I mean, just to get through to pay for your items to get signed. I get back there, and Vince, this is the truth. There was two guys getting about 200 cards signed, and they all of a sudden said, "Oh, you go ahead." And they got my stuff and pretty much set it over for him. And I just wanted that moment to say, "Hey, man, Mr. Seiko, thank you for coming out and all that." But he's over there, I'm over here, and there's two guys here, and I did get to shake his hand. He looks a little more wrinkly and like salt and pepper hair. Looks just like him. He's not nearly as big as he used to be, but very cordial and very nice. And I, I'll I'll show this. I got this sign, which I'm very, very proud of. It's kind of one of those black and white, kind of saying goodbye kind of pictures. I seen that. And I said, I got to have that thing. And then I got my batting helmet signed, and I was the only one there with a batting helmet. So I got my batting helmet signed, which has the, wait a minute, let me turn it around this way. It's got the A's emblem right there, and he signed the Chrome card for me right there. So I got a couple Seiko
Nice.
cards in there. Yes, and he signed it right there on the bill. And then they put the sticker on the bottom I got it authenticated. But what a treat. A guy like me who grew up watching baseball, 40-40 man, and I'm right across the table from him, and I got to shake his hand and thank him for coming out. And just a nice guy. He seemed like he was happy to be there, and he's real cordial and took pictures with people and stuff like that. I think I just kind of caught him at the wrong time when those guys were in there, and they had just stacks of cards getting signed. And I just got 3 items signed, but it was really cool meeting him. And December 7th, they're going to have Ray Langford down there for all you Cardinal fans and baseball
Ray
fans.
Ray.
Ray, who I think was the best Cardinal in the Joe Torre years, had a real nice career, mainly with the Cardinals, but just a great player. And so anyway, Ray Langford's going to be down there. That's going to be pretty cool. And of course, I think me and Ray Hartman are going to go down there and meet him and get a bunch of stuff signed. Oh, pretty cool. Thank you for asking. It was a treat to meet him.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, what's going on in Cardinal news?
Well, Cardinal news. The Cardinals this week finalized the 2025 TV deal with FanDuel, which was formerly Bailey's, which we had before. And what I've learned about this, it will allow fans to stream from anywhere. And it's the first direct-to-consumer streaming that the Cardinal fans have had. So
And that
anytime,
we will be doing that because my wife's a huge Cardinal fan, and she has suffered for years because we don't have cable and all the local games are blacked out. So,
there was 16 years I didn't have TV because, we had 3 kids and times were kind of tough and we had to cut corners and we didn't have TV. So I listened to games for about 16 years. So when I got the MLB channel, when I was doing a little bit better and the kids were finally growing up and moving out, I was like, oh, I'm going to get cable. So it's such a treat to watch the Cardinal games. But this sounds great. I'm very excited about it. And also here in Missouri, and I won't get too political, but Amendment 2 passed for sports betting. And what that means to us Cardinal fans is that this could be an increase in revenue. A lot of these companies, Bet MGM and FanDuel, are putting kiosks and places they can bet in ballparks. And I believe I read the Cubs get quite a bit per year for doing that, which I was in Wrigley this year, but I didn't walk all around the stadium. It was so packed. And I didn't see where that was in there, but I think they make quite a bit, enough for a nice player every year, if to be honest with you. So maybe that'll help out. I know we got hurt by Bailey's the demise of the Bailey TV network because we were counting on big money there, and that kind of got cut out from underneath us. So that's good. I didn't bet for yes on it, but I said no. But anyway, I'm glad it passed. To be honest with you, and I had a feeling it would without my help anyway. I just kind of wanted to highlight. News is the Cardinals. They didn't resign. They didn't take the option on Paul Goldschmidt. So word is at this moment, Wilson Contreras will be playing first base for the Cardinals next year. I'm fine with that. I want his bat in there, and I like the two catchers we have. And we have this kid Crooks, who's a catcher. The Cardinals' top 25 minor league prospects, 5 of them are catchers. And we've got this kid Crooks coming who looks like he's the real deal. And he's probably about 2 years, maybe next year, no, 26. So we got these two young kids who I think did a heck of a job catching. And Contreras at first, I'm okay with that. He's played first base before and done a nice job. So it looks like Contreras will be our first baseman, at least DH first baseman, and we'll got some other guys that play first base too. So that's some of the strategy going on for next year already. And I wanted to highlight a player, Thomas Segis. You know, the Cardinals, we made a trade this year for a pitcher from the White Sox, and we moved Edman to the Dodgers. And hey, Tommy Edman, good for you. World champion. You had a great series. I'm so happy for you. But we've had 3 of these kind of Swiss Army knife players, Edmonds, Donovan, and Segis. And Segis is the young one who's just coming up. He's our 4th prospect in our system. And he's playing in the Arizona Fall League and just lighting it up, looking good. He plays second, short, and third, and he plays high quality at every position. And
At
they
the
say he's
same
like,
time,
yeah, at the same time, this guy's like, yeah, you know, we have 4 right fielders when we have Segis in there covering the middle and the over a third. But down there in the Florida League, and this is Arizona Fall League has the top prospects. They're playing down there, getting seen by the league and everything. And he hit at 64 bats, a 391 batting average, 7 doubles, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, walked 16 times, struck out 15, and he's just 22 years old. And he came up at the end of the year, didn't hit very well, kind of looked overmatched. But Vince, we see that a lot. Wynn came up at the end of 2023, and he just didn't do much. And I know you're out. Pete Crow Armstrong came up at the end of 1 year, and it just didn't look like, oh man, he looked a little overmatched.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but the next year, when the full season started, they kicked butt and took names. So that's what I'm hoping for Segis. I hate to lose Tommy Edman, but he's about a year away from going for free agency or getting a big payday. And we do have Segis, and I understand that's business part of it. You hate to lose a player like Edman, no, but I wish him all the best. He's a heck of a player. And I'd take Tommy Edman and Donovan Segis on my team any day. I like those kind of players. So anyway, that's it from Cardinal news. And things are looking pretty good right now. I like the direction they're going, and they're starting. They're going to play the young guys, and I'm okay with that.
In Cub news, we've been linked to Max Fried, which I think at the cost makes the most sense. Um, and I looked at his career. He's been more durable than I thought. He's been more durable. And his ERA is right around 3 for his career. And he had 1 year where it jumped pretty high, but that was early in his career. And he's a yeah, I think he's a good target for us. He's a good friend of Dansby Swanson. So that's going to help. Coupled with that, up until this morning, we were thinking, hey, we also need a catcher. So maybe Max Fried and Travis d'Arnaud both come from the Braves. We'd sign both of them, but d'Arnaud's going to the Halos, so that's not going to happen. But we have been also connected to Roki Sasaki, the this year's Japanese phenom. Um, he's had Yamamoto-like numbers in the Japanese league, and the thing about Sasaki is There goes a ladybug. The thing about Sasaki is, I think he's 23, and he's like Otani. Um, a lot of after I don't know. I think it's 6 years in the Japanese league. If you put in 6 years, then you can post, and it's you're a full-fledged free agent for any MLB team, and they can pay you $1 zillion, like Imanaga, like Suzuki, like Yamamoto. If you remember, when Otani came here, he was cheap. It was just, where's he going to play? Because if you don't have that kind of service time in the Japanese league, you come here, you're like any other player coming up. So your first year, you're going to get the league minimum 760,000. So Sasaki would come here, league minimum, and then after 3 years, he'd be ARB eligible. After 6 years, he would be free agent eligible, which is going to kind of dovetail into what I'm going to say next, after I get done with Sasaki. Uh, it looks like the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Padres are the teams that are in play for him. The good thing is, the Cubs have Imanaga and Suzuki. Also, the Cubs, Jed has, we've done as good a job scouting in Japan as anybody. We've had a strong presence in Japan for years now. Um, the Dodgers, on the other hand, are coming off a World Series, and they have Otani and Yamamoto. The Padres, uh, Sasaki's hero growing up was Yu Darvish, who's a Padre. So I'm hoping that Jed's presence and the Cubs' presence in Japan is going to help sway. And it would be like getting an ace for the staff for the price of, your fourth player off the bench. It would be an absolute great thing for the Cubs, because when the Cubs showed their hand and said, we're not even touching Soto, what that tells me is there's a cash problem. And I think that cash problem is that they've sunk so much money into Marquee, the Cubs network, and it just hasn't paid off. I think they're hemorrhaging money there. I don't think that Ricketts is cheap. He's always spent money on players when necessary. Um, Hayward, Lester. Um, he's, we when we got Cole Hamels, we immediately extended him for 21 million a year. Um, Spending money hasn't been an issue until the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, it seems like we've been hamstrung. And the only thing that people can figure out is this marquee network is just not turning a profit, and that's why they cannot. They have to announce they were not even go for Soto. So I think the Cubs do have a little bit of a cash flow problem. And if they could get Sasaki, I think that would automatically upgrade our pitching. I know it automatically upgrade our pitching, but it's so cheap. We would still have, like I said, after all the art people, around 60 million, we would still have enough money to play with to maybe even get another starter, uh, to maybe strengthen that bench that need. Our bench was anemic last year, aside from Talkman. So it would be just a wonderful thing if we could get him. But he can always say, I want to go to the Dodgers because I want to win championships. But he could also be of the mindset of, why would I want to go to the Dodgers? I can't put them over the top. They're at the top. I want to go to a team that I can put over the top. And I think that was what the Cubs would be pitching him. I do know this. You're a great player like Otani in Los Angeles. That's good. But you're still competing with LeBron James, um, all these other great athletes in Chicago, you would own the town. You know, he comes over here, you own the town. And I think that would be an appeal to um, he sits at 100. He's got three plus pitches. And the best comparison that he has in the Japanese league is he is just as good as Yamamoto. So hoping that works out for us.
Man, that'd be deadly. You get them. You add him to your pitching staff. Look out. That's a tough pitching staff, man.
And that's it for Cubs news. So, you know who would be a great addition to any pitching staff?
Oh, I ran into him the other day, and was thinking that Mr. Jeremy Connor himself.
Jeremy Connor bringing that fastball. Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. Our guest tonight is a rare breed, a White Sox fan. And I am so disappointed that JJ has nothing to celebrate the Sox like our guest Alec Seymour and I both have. JJ, the disappointment is tremendously high, at least on my end. I don't know about Alec. Alec, how did you become a White Sox fan?
Well, growing up, my parents were split. My dad was a White Sox fan. My brother was too. And I kind of went half and half. I rooted for the Cubs, admittedly, but I don't know. The Sox has kind of stuck with me. And then 05 happened, of course, and that's kind of what they've been riding since. And here we are, 19 years later, setting records for the wrong type of thing.
It doesn't seem like that was nearly 20 years ago. It just seems like it was just a few years ago that the Sox won. And as a Cub fan in 05, at least I don't live in Chicago. Being I live in the St. Louis area, it wasn't really much for me. But for people who live in Chicago, for Cubs fan, that was devastating when the Sox won in 05. But I want to tell you something.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I do admire people who stay with their teams. When I was in college, I went there in 1984. Cubs are about ready to clinch the division. There's a guy there with a Cub hat on. And I said, hey, I'm a Cub fan too. And he said, yeah, I was a Cardinal fan, but the Cubs started doing better this year. So I became a Cub fan. I thought, nope, you're not a fan. That's get out of my world, dude. That's the way I felt about that. You're a fan. You're a fan for life. That's what I think. So you became a Sox fan, 05. You had a split family, but in 05, that kind of solidified you're rooting for the Sox, correct?
I hate to say that, but I'd say it more so made me like proud. I don't know. I grew up watching my grandpa up in Markham, Illinois. He would always watch the games, and that kind of turned me on to it. I mean, I would listen to the Cubs on radio, Sox on radio. But yeah, 05 was like, hey, this team's going to be pretty good. Yeah, I'm not going to really talk about what's happened since then. But.
That's okay. We'll talk about it later.
All right.
Well, hey, may I ask how old you are? Because that way I can kind of put things in perspective, because that's what baseball is. It's like yard markers for our lives and things like that. So
yeah, I'm 31. I'm 31. I'll be 32 in 2 weeks exactly.
Well, happy birthday!
I put my 2 weeks notice in for my birthday.
All right, yeah. Stick it to the man.
It's on Tuesday this year. Stick it to him.
Well, absolutely. The reason I said how old you are, because I'm old. I'm 60, and in December 14th I'll be 61. But I was in the Navy in 1988, and I was going to school at Great Lakes, and I would take the train down and go to Old Kaminsky Park. I got to sit in Old Kaminsky Park. It was so cool. And some of the names of the guys when I went there, you guys had, Pudge catching. And I know the big player they were really promoting was Ivan Calderon. I don't know if that name means anything to you. And I think Steve Trout was pitching on the team, and Ed Farmer, and they just had some players. And
Yes.
I would go down and see the double hitters because I'm a cheapskate. And
Sure.
back then you pay for one ticket, you get to go to both games. So I saw them in the Brewers and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm assuming that new Kaminsky is real close to where old Kaminsky was, probably in the city. Correct? Is
Yeah.
that
I'm not sure exactly like the logistical specifics, like how far away, but yeah, it's still on the south end, and it's fine. I mean, it's a nice park. I can't bash it. It's just really the product that's been performing consistently inside the park that I'm not really too happy about. But the park, I mean, they got the cool milkshake this year, and that was
okay?
basically the highlight of the season. The
Now,
campfire milkshake.
how many games a year do you make it to?
Um, Usually I try to go to at least 3 to 5 a year, but given this year's circumstances, I just went to one, and it was on Mother's Day. Saw Cleveland play. We did not win. Sorry, Mom. Could not get a win for you. But other than that, it was okay. But no, I just went to one game this year. I couldn't deal it. I could not. I'm trying to take care of my mental health. And so
Well,
they
it was just a few years ago that the White Sox were favored to win the Central. It was
I
just like
know, and they
3 years ago.
they did in 21, but it's like what? It's like, okay, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, hiring Larusa was the best decision ever, and it wasn't the worst decision ever, but it was just I don't think it was not the right move. But I'm definitely the last 2 seasons have put in perspective how much I think we took for granted the 81 and 81 finish back in 22.
Yeah.
Because in 21, we were 93, and still we were kind of dragging at the end because after we clinched, we kind of like stopped, and I don't know, we could have had like 95, or I thought maybe even 100, given all the talent they had. But it's just been kind of consistently underwhelming. And you want to get excited, you want to get hyped up, but it just hasn't really panned out when you put all that energy into it, or it
From
has.
your perspective, where did this go south?
Mm. Initially, probably getting rid of Renteria. I maybe that was a factor. That was probably the beginning of the end. They got rid of Renteria after 20, and because we lost in Oakland, which I always hated losing to Oakland, especially in that shortened year because they were pretty good. But we of course would never know what the full year. Oh, hey, look, I'm sorry, you guys got absolutely gypped. And you guys were so good. You guys had Matt Olson. You guys had Chapman at one point. I mean, I feel bad for you guys almost like more than us, to be honest. I know it's not like I mean, they screw you on the new team location, but man, yeah, I don't know. Just you guys had our number. I don't know what to say. Probably
And
back, yeah, 20, getting
I,
rid of it. Yeah.
I feel bad for Renteria because he was with the Cubs in 14 when it looked like, okay, we may be pushing to have a good team. And then Madden's available, Renteria's out the door. Then he goes to the White Sox. I've always thought he was a good manager, a good person too. And then he gets ushered out the door again on the verge of something really, really good. Um, I I watch a lot of baseball. I have the MLB.TV,
Mhm.
and I try to watch every team at least once a year. And I would say I probably watch about 10 White Sox games a year. Even this past year, I was watching the White Sox game. It seemed to me that there was directionless. They lacked a leader. And when you look at it, Tim Anderson went downhill pretty quick. His skills eroded pretty quick. and then you had Eloy Jimenez, who could
Oh
not
man,
stay on the field and who just doesn't seem to have a whole lot of passion, I guess you could say.
he broke my heart, man. He broke me and my cousin's hearts and all other White Sox fans because he just could not stay healthy. Poor guy. I don't know, man. It just sucks. I loved
Yeah,
watching him and Luis Robert play outfield back when Eloy was in the outfield, and it just he's been IL ridden for the past 3 seasons really consistently, and it's just you can't really do much with it. So he got dealt to the Orioles.
yeah, yeah.
Got cash maybe.
I don't remember what the transaction was. But now, uh, do you see hope? Do you see that they are starting to point in I mean, you can't really bottom out anymore. By the way, I'm not making fun of the Sox because,
No.
hello, I'm a Cub fan. I've seen plenty of bad baseball. Um, but do you see that maybe there's a few steps in the right direction, or do you just kind of see, oh gosh, we're going to be terrible. We're going to set another record this year?
Um, I don't really see. I like to maybe cling on to some hope, but that hope's going to be that we don't repeat what we did just this past season. That's pretty much where my hope gets exhausted at. Because right now, I mean, unless we spend some money in the off season, which it doesn't sound like they want to, which I'm not here to bash that, but they could. And we definitely have players that they can continue to develop. But guess what? Guess what? The White Sox organization is not really great at doing historically, developing players and like
Developing
developing
talent, yeah.
Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but it's true. Um, a lot of our good players, we got, of course, Cease and Jimenez from the Cubs back in I think 19 maybe, um, for Quintana when he was really hot.
Yeah.
Um, that was nice, but obviously we didn't produce them. We just got the end result. Um, we got Dominic Fletcher, who's really good in the outfield. We need someone who's going to be a consistent right fielder because Gavin Sheets, he's all right. I mean, he tossed me a ball back in September of 23. I was in the crowd. That was awesome. It was like my first ball in like 20 years, but I wasn't keeping track or anything. It was fun, but I don't know. He doesn't really. I don't know where we get these guys and why we keep playing a lot of these folks. And with the results we have, and then everyone's on the freaking IL like it's some sort of requirement to be at least 2 times a year. It really just blows your mind. And I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, there's not much more. They got to maybe sign some people, but what's the appeal? I don't know. It's like you want to play for a history making squad. Like, I'm not
Oh
really.
man.
I'm trying to be. I'm not trying to take shots at him, but good God, maybe sign a couple of people.
I think there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. I'm a Cardinal fan, and the last 2 years, well, this year was better. 2 years ago was so disappointing. They've been like plugging players in, and we got some good young players, but that 2 years ago it just fell apart. And we were much better this year, but we really didn't contend. We were just average, I'd say, this year. But there's some hope in the future. But I tell you what, I'm a baseball fanatic, and I like the White Sox. I like watching the games. I've been to Old Comiskey. I did go to New Comiskey once, and they had the pinwheels out there in center field. But
Yeah,
when I think of the White Sox, this is what I think of. You guys seem to go through uniforms and different helmets and things. In my lifetime, you wore shorts. You had the collars, just and a lot of great players. But I never seen many White Sox fans. But I'm from the South, Arkansas. You don't run into many
all
White Sox fans down in that neck of the woods. But
right. Probably not.
but we have a lot in common. All three of us. Harry Carey announced for all three teams. Which is pretty cool. I think one of the all-time greatest announcers. He just made it fun. But after '05, it seemed like people jumped on the wagon. I remember
Definitely, there was a lot of that happening too.
what a
Yeah,
team. That '05 team was stacked. That was a
yeah.
great team.
They got really.
And
They
you
had
beat
a
the
great.
Astros.
Yeah, they had a great streak in the postseason. That was like 11-1 or something like that. Just like an abnormally great postseason run, and then what do you know? Hey, everyone's rooting for the Sox in like 2006 and 7, right? Like,
Well, the Astros always give us trouble. They knocked us out of the playoffs, so I was pulling for the White Sox then. But I
yeah,
remember Obama, when he was president, would wear the White Sox cap or
of
jersey,
course.
throw out the first pitch, which is great because he's a White Sox fan. But
Number
it seemed like it
44.
was like in vogue there for a while. But I'll be honest, me and Vince were not pulling for them to break the record. I was just about June. I was like, whoa, this is really mounting up. But you guys beat us 2 out of 3, so no matter how bad you played, you still took a series from the Cardinals. So
Yeah. I remember. Okay, I went. Actually, no, I went to 2 games this year. I apologize. I went to one on Mother's Day, but I went.
okay,
I saw them play the Cardinals down at St. Louis too.
all right.
Yeah, and it was I think it was the Friday, and shit, I'm not sure. One of the games got rained out, but that was one of the series to where like one was a rain out, and then they resumed it after like a 3-hour delay. And then CB Buckner just comes in with like the worst call ever. It's like 6 inches off the plate, and he rings them up, and that's it. And the Sox win the freaking game after all that. There's like 12 people in the stands just going bananas, just screaming at the umpire. And then CB Buckner is just like, I don't care.
Oh yeah, we've had some run-ins with him, that's for sure. But you guys were the better team then. You beat us 2 out of 3. So
And
there's
you
some
guys
things.
got Eric Fetty eventually, and Tommy Pham. But then Tommy Pham got cut loose, and Royals scooped him up. I don't know.
Yeah, we've had a lot of players go back. I remember Lance Johnson and Radinsky. We've had a lot of White Sox. Lance Lynn has been with
Yeah,
both teams, and
yeah.
so a lot of carryover there. And I always pull for ex-Cardinals, except that they're playing us, of course. Had
Like
an
Paul
off
Bunyan.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's really good, and I'm pulling for you guys, man. I really am because, but
glad someone
secretly,
is.
I'm kind of glad Kansas City's doing good. It's just good for baseball when a team has a good year and has
Yeah,
some upbeats. But you guys, I swear, I don't think you're going to lose 100 games this year. I think it's going to turn around a little bit.
I hope not, because 2018. I mean, I've witnessed hundreds of losses now. Like, just I'm tired of it.
Oh,
My heart is
yeah.
about to check out. You know what I mean?
I can tell. I can see it in your face.
2018, 100 losses.
Oh,
2023, I think last year, 100 losses, 121 this year.
and,
Okay.
and I remember you guys had some bad luck. There was the call, which was a bad call, where the guy had a perfect game going and he called him safe at first, and just stuff like that over the years. It's
Yep.
rough. So I see good karma coming your way.
Fingers crossed on that.
Yeah.
I really hope.
Now,
I really hope so. I appreciate that, man. Like, it sucks. Like, so do you also like root for the A's?
Well, yeah, that's like my American League team. I've always been an A's fan. I like the colors. I When I first found out about baseball, it was 74, and I didn't know about MLB, and Reggie Jackson was on crutches and they had announced him, and I just kind of fell in love with the Mustache Gang and kind of kept an eye on them. And they're they don't have the money, and of course they don't really have a city, so I kind of pull for them. And over the weekend we have a sponsor, and Jose Casenko was just like 15 minutes down the road and signed a bunch of autographs. So that's why I was
Awesome.
representing the A's this week.
Did you get his autograph?
Oh, check this out. Check it out.
Oh,
Book.
wow.
Oh,
Hey,
ain't that bad in the bone?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Woo-hoo.
Hey, good for
he's,
you.
he's
Vince
got
knows
hundreds of autographs.
I've got a problem. I've got a problem. I'm telling you, Alec.
Hey, I understand. I understand. I'm not judging anybody.
No, I just love baseball. That's all. I got a lot of White Sox players too. Don Kissinger, just Frank Thomas, all
I
those
love
guys,
Frank.
man.
Frank the Tank.
Yes,
They really did him
Big
dirty,
Hurt.
man. They really did him wrong back in like '05, and then the hell is that? They just
He won the MVP one year. I remember he was the MVP.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was like maybe 2000, or I don't know. He was a stud, but like the way they let him go after like through the organization, I thought was kind of no. I
Yeah.
love Frank Thomas though. He's the
Oh,
man. Sox Fest 2000.
is that your favorite White Sox player, by the way?
Maybe Paul Konerko. He's
That's a good one.
awesome. Love Paul Konerko. I have to have Przinsky on the list, and Mark Burley as well. And then I love Dylan Cease when he was
Yes.
with us. He was great. He
Oh
was really
yeah.
fun to watch.
Yeah, Burley's from St. Louis. So, now, um, there is talk of building a new stadium.
Right.
And I've seen renditions for that area in Chicago by the river where it's undeveloped, and I've seen some awesome renderings of what a stadium, kind of like a whole entertainment venue, would look like there, with the stadium being the focal point of that. Is that a pipe dream, or do you think that's realistic?
It was a pipe dream. I think ultimately it's a great thought. It's a great idea. It seems to me like here's my plan. If you don't like it, maybe I'll just get mad enough to move to Nashville, type of thing.
I don't think anybody wants to see the Sox move to Nashville.
I don't.
I
Um,
don't.
that
Good. I don't either. I really don't. But
I
um,
think that if the Sox were able to pull that plan off, I think it would be uh, a boon for Chicago, because now you have Wrigleyville, which is its own little thing, and then you would have a whole modern sports centered venue with all these other amenities that would kind of be like the modern thing. I think it would be interesting to have those two things. And I've not been to uh, the new ballpark. I call it the new. I don't even know what they call it anymore. I always call it New Comiskey.
yeah,
I haven't been to a game there. I have parked there once, and I think one of the issues with that is there's really nothing to do there after a game. I mean, it's just
yeah, you kind of gotta go. Like basically, like there's plenty to do before. If you show up, you can tailgate. It's notorious for tailgating as long as you don't get too out of control. Everyone's got bags, people grill and stuff like that. Um,
That's cool.
but yeah, like afterwards though, it's just kind of like, well, most of the time it's like, well, we lost, bye. Like let me try to get out and get in front of all the drunks, so minimize the chance of crashing or any BS. So it's like, I
well,
technically don't think it's. I don't know. I'm not like people kind of freak out since it's in a certain area, but it's like whatever. I don't really care. I don't care about that. It's a nice stadium, and then they have baseball.
Yeah.
now, aside from the World Series, what is your favorite White Sox memory?
Oh, wow, that's a tough question. Oh my God. Oh, okay. 2023. My brother and I, we went to Kansas City and we saw like 4 games in 4 days, or maybe it was five games. So like three in Kansas City. Then we traveled back, went up to Chicago, and then we saw them play the weekend series as well. So like just seeing them play that consistently back before all the wheels fell off and everything was on fire and the people were screaming, like it was nice to kind of watch them just play ball and not like realize, oh, we suck again. But
Yeah,
they did go on to suck that year.
I a recent memory. I got a lot of memories growing up watching Sox games, because they even though I lived in the Metro East of St. Louis, we had cable station that would broadcast White Sox games. So I have a lot of good memories. Not just Disco Demolition Night. I have some good memories.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you go to that?
no,
Oh man.
I was watching it. I was like
Wow.
12 years old, and I sat down. The Cub game was on during the day at that time because there was no lights at Wrigley yet, and I sat down to watch the doubleheader.
Yeah.
And because I'm such a baseball nerd, I can watch 3 games in one day with no problem. And so I watched the first game, and I'm not paying attention to this disco thing. I don't care. And all of a sudden, I just see fans all over the field and smoke and everything. And I sat there and I watched that thing for another 2 hours while they tried to clean up the field. But that's not, I'm saying a recent memory that I have was that Field of Dreams game,
Oh,
um,
that was a
when
good one.
when Anderson hit the home run. That
Oh,
that
that's
was
great.
that was a tremendous moment for I think all White Sox fans. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, Burley's perfect game
Oh,
is
shit.
up there.
Left on that. Yeah, absolutely. Burley's perfect game. That'd probably be, and that play he did like that. I'd say, but more specifically, like Burley's play he did when he had to scoop the ball just bit with his glove and flip it between like his legs at first. That was probably like my top. Either that or oh crap, I'm forgetting the guy's name, but like he had this amazing like throws. I said
Oh,
like a total.
like a submarine pitcher?
It was like a shortstop, and I'm totally
Oh.
gassed, like just blanking at the name. So forget I said anything. Men in Black Flash.
Oh,
Well, we do need to wrap this up, but I do want to say I met you at a comedy show,
Yep.
and I was actually wearing my Birmingham Barons Michael Jordan jersey,
Right.
and it's a roast, and I'm talking to the person we're roasting, and she uh, she was pointing out all the comics, and she pointed to you, and you had a White Sox jersey on. I thought, holy cow, there's a White Sox fan here. I got to go talk to this guy. So, and
Right.
so I said, whether you win, whether you lose, your fandom should never leave you. And that's when I thought that's a real fan right there because um, when you lose an historic number of games and you still have the pride to put that gear on, that speaks a lot to your character. So that's pretty cool.
It's not easy. It's basically just like going outside. You got the dunce cone on,
and
or you.
other fans are not nice. Man, they beat up when the Cardinals had that year where we were 71 wins. Oh man, there just came. You guys are idiots. You don't know how to do anything. You trade away all your good players. And I'm like, golly, man. I don't get too high when we win, and I try not to get too low when we lose. But
Yeah, I was hearing it from the Cardinal fans back in May when I went to that game. After or before the game and after the game,
them suckers.
and
I'm
they're
sorry.
like,
I apologize.
"It's okay." I didn't really.
I'll take care of them for you.
Yeah, just if you see the gas station clerk lady down in Litchfield, just be like, "Hey, you better."
I'll take care. Yeah, I'll shortchange her.
She was like, I'm just like, "Hey, yeah, what do you think about the season?" She's like, "I'm just still mad they got rid of Yanni." I'm like, "Oh Jesus, was she
Yeah,
there?
man.
Was she there at January 6th?" I'm like, "Oh man." I was like, "What about Matt Carpenter coming back?" Like trying to start conversations. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I guess I'll go die.
Hey, when the White Sox win the World Series, we'll have you back on here.
I'd love that. Speaking it into existence right now, I'd love for the White Sox to win a World Series, preferably in my
Put it
life.
out there.
Maybe within the before the finish of this decade. Chuck Garfien, I remember he did say, "Your Chicago White Sox, your team of the 20s, your 2020s." And I remember he said that, and it's just I've thought about that a lot lately because I'm usually not one that makes like bold, insanely confident like claims that could just like I don't know because that did not really age too well after this past year. And I wish I don't. I'm not dogging Chuck for his optimism. I love him. Just didn't age well. Ozzie Guillen, I love though.
Oh, he was spicy. I like that guy. He really he got fired up. I like him.
Yes, sir. Good manager too. But all right, I'm not gonna ramble. I got my psychiatric nurse. Here to empty right my trash bag and give me my meds for tonight. So I appreciate you guys having me on very much. This has honestly been a treat. I appreciate you guys taking me on.
Well, thank you, Alec.
You're the man.
Yeah, I figured it out.
Year.
Figured it out.
All righty. Take it easy.
You too. Thank you, Vincent. Nice to meet you, JJ.
Yeah, that's media.
All right. Once again, thanks, Alec. Great. You can see the pain in his face. You really
Oh,
could.
heartbreak.
And I cannot relate to a 120 loss season, but
I know
I
what that's
could
like.
relate to inept baseball quite a bit, and it does tend to wear on you. But this is, just a few years ago, you thought, oh, this is one of the up and coming teams. This is a playoff team, and then just absolutely, you
Rug.
know, the bottom fall out so quick. That's got to be tough to go through. Well, Bing Bong, I've got to open up baseball cards, so I'm gonna have to shift my hands. Yes, I do. So, JJ, I am opening score uh 1989.
For 1989, I bought a whole box of these 2024 update set, the third set of the tops. And speaking of Yamamoto and Namaga, the Cub pitcher, I can't never say his name, but they're featured right there on the packs, right there. So
Awesome.
you want to open up yours first? I like the old timey cards more.
I am going to be optimistic. I'm going to have three Hall of Famers in this.
Ooh, I'm gonna go one Hall of Famer, and this is MLB Hall of Fame. Not you always don't pull that on me, the high school Hall of Fame or anything like that.
Oh my gosh. Very
Uh-oh.
first player, Hall of Famer George Brett, one of my
Well,
favorite
I
players.
can't argue with that. George Brett, one down, two to go. Oh
I
no, not
promise
another one.
I did not open this pack.
He stacked this deck.
I need to go to Vegas tonight.
Woo!
Number two, Hall of Famer Jim Rice.
Oh, Jim Rice, the great Jim
The
Rice.
third card,
Oh,
Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith.
wow, my gosh. Three.
Three. And
We
I
never
said,
had four. We never had four to pack.
never had four. Yeah. Mets third baseman Howard Johnson also played for the Cubs.
Corker
Very good.
stat. Matt Corker.
Pitcher for the Giants, Kelly Downs.
I remember Kelly Downs. Yes. He hosted 2020, didn't he? Kelly Downs? Or was that Hugh Downs? I'm sorry.
Um, Mets pitcher Bobby Ojeda also pitched for the Red Sox.
Yeah, a good pitcher. Lefty.
Former Cy Young Award winner for the Twins, also pitched for the Mets, Frank Sweet Music Viola.
Oh, yeah. He was tough. They beat us in 87.
Tigers pitcher Guillermo Hernandez.
I don't know him. I
Oh,
don't
yes,
know
you
him.
do.
And did he go by a different name?
Yes.
Oh, Willie.
Willie Hernandez, former Cy
Yeah.
Young Award winner.
Yes, that's right.
Uh, Indian shortstop Jay Bell. Very good
Oh,
career.
yeah, I remember with the Pirates, mainly with the Pirates.
Ranger third baseman, also a former Cub, Steve Buechele.
Oh, yeah. I remember him. Yes, nice career.
Bing bong, this is so uncomfortable. Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally hit him. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. White Sox center fielder Dave Gallagher, smashing the watermelons. There you go. Former Giant, former Oriole, and former Cardinal first baseman Will the Thrill.
Oh, yeah. What a player. Mississippi
Uh,
State, I think he played for in the college.
Former Tigers outfielder, also played for Oakland, Dwayne Murphy.
Okay.
Player.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the guys that I'm not too hot on. I think he's a rotten human being, but he had a heck of a fastball. Rob Dibble, one of the nasty boys.
One of the nasty people. Yeah.
1989 rookie pitcher Bill Brennan for the Dodgers. I don't remember him.
I don't remember him.
And former Ranger catcher, 1989 rookie Chad Kruder.
I remember him. I do remember him.
And JJ, I got this hologram, 1967, A Year to Remember, and it's got Carl Yastrzemski stuff, stuff about the Cardinals, but it's so small I can't read it.
Ah, yeah, he won the Triple Crown that year.
He did. He
67,
did.
Carl Yastrzemski. I think
And
the only guy since then is Miguel Cabrera is the only other one that's won the Triple Crown since 67.
that
Well,
was
this oh go
Cardinals
ahead.
beat the Sox in the World Series.
Oh yeah, Gibson. That Gibson was a legend anyway, but that year put him in the stratosphere right there. Well, here we are with the update set. And there's a lot of special cards in here. This one here is Stars of the MLB, and it is a Toronto Blue Jay. And I honestly do not know this star of the MLB, Davis Schneider of Toronto. I do not know him, and they put him on this.
Any bells?
Yeah, he's a star of the MVP. Yeah, here's an odd one: Dodgers career leadoff home run record, and it's a very odd card. It's Mookie Betts, but it's got little ghosts. Look at that, little Halloween ghosts. Look at that. That's kind of wild. Ooh.
That's different.
Oh, Texas Ranger, Jack Leiter. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but there is a major league record. Two brothers made the major leagues, Al Leiter and Mark Leiter, and their two sons made it. They're the first two brothers, and the sons of the two brothers have all become major leaguers. That's pretty darn cool right there. You guys had Mark Leiter Jr., didn't you? And now he's with is he a Dodger or Yankee now?
Yeah, we traded him to the Yankees. And due to injury, he made the postseason roster. And he actually pitched good in the postseason.
Yeah, he pitched very well. Uh, okay, this is where I'm not very good with these last names, but Florida Marlin, AJ Puck, reliever right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, AJ Puck. So I got that one right. And remember, these are guys that came onto teams late in spring or got traded or made their debuts. So these are all these kind of players. The New York Mets, Adrian Hauser. There he is right there, relief pitcher. Diamondback, I can't say, Suarez, the third baseman, who used to be with the Reds.
Eugenio Suarez.
You're very good with the Spanish names. I can't say anything.
Oh, I think if I was like a ladies' man, I would call myself Eugenio Suarez. Eugenio Suarez.
Would you care for him?
It's an offer.
Oh,
At least the name worked on one wife. So
there you go. Very good. You're the man. All right. Pitcher for the Seattle Mariners, Ryan Stanek. There he is, a side view. Very nice. Baltimore Orioles rookie card, Jackson Holiday, right there.
Oh, might be worse.
Look, yeah, I'm going to set that one aside, put it in a little plastic case or something. Tampa Bay Rays pitcher Jeffrey Springs. There he is, Jeffrey Springs. Oh my gosh, the first time I've seen this card, St. Louis Cardinal rookie card of Pedro Podges, our catcher, who came on. He hit some home runs against the Cubs, some big home runs this year. He didn't hit a lot, but he hit a few.
I remember.
I know. I'll shut up. Pirates rookie card of Hunter Stratton, another young pitcher there. I tell you what, Vince, we've been watching the Brewers, but look out for the Pirates and the Reds. Those teams look like they're going to give us some trouble. We talk about this guy. It seems like when we talk about a player, they show up in the cards. Kansas City Royal, a finalist for the Cy Young, Seth Lugo.
There you go.
And he's playing in the Monarch uniform. It looked like they had a special day playing in the Monarch uniform. And finally, Autumn. Oh, I can't read it, but it's a kind of a fancy card of Corey Seager with the Rangers.
Oh,
there you go. A little on the back right there. And Vince, before we say goodnight, that's it for my cards. But before we say goodnight, next week we're gonna this week, if you want to participate in our free agent contest, and I thought, what's a good prize? I will send whoever gets these free agents, whoever comes the closest. This is our third one. I will give them a whole box. It's got 7-8 packs in it of these 2024 update. I'll buy a whole pack, a box for them, and we'll send that to you if you win. So here are the 6 players, and you just send me or Vince how many, what team are they going to get signed with? Because we got to do this quick because California Angels seem to be signing everybody. So we better get this out in the stratosphere before these guys are signed with somebody. All right. So here's the players. Pete Alonso. Which team will pick up? It could be the Mets. He could go back to them, or what team's going? Is he going to end up with? So give me your best effort there. The second player, and he's 30 years old, by the way, Pete Alonso. First baseman from Arizona, Christian Walker. What team will he be with next year? Willie Adames, the shortstop of the Milwaukee Brewers. He's a free agent. Where's he going to end up? I've heard a lot of talk about where he's going to end up. Corbin Burns is with Orioles this year, but he's one of the top flight pitchers. Where's he going to end up this year? Roki Suzuki, the Japanese phenom coming over. We just talked about him a while ago. Yeah, he could be over in the Chi-Town. Who knows? But what team will he end up with? And the tiebreaker, the sixth free agent, Juan Soto, 26 years old. What team will he end up with? And the tiebreaker is how many years will he get on that contract? And he's 26 years old. So we shall see. So those are the six. I'll kind of post that there. I don't know if you can read it. That's my handwriting. So it's very hard to read. But if you get to me or Vince, let us know. Or I tell you what, when you post this, I'll put a little note on there and say, hey, these are the six free agents. And get a hold of us privately and let's get it. And next week, I'll tell you how many people are in the contest and who's up for it. It'll just be something fun and we'll keep track of. So anyway, Vince, that's all I got to say on that.
All righty. Well, we will see you next week. Enjoy your week. We hope to have some baseball news and stuff to keep us going.
There's always baseball news.
Yeah, there is. There is. I November's okay, but December's when things start really ramping up with the winter meetings and everything. But
the awards are next week.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, everybody, you have a good one.